Hello, and welcome to Catavan Cast, Van Life with a Cat. It's the show where we discuss our experiences travelling through the many countries of Europe in a camper van. I'm Ben.
I'm Frey, and Dargo, I haven't seen her in a little while actually.
I think she's sleeping upstairs.
I think she's asleep upstairs. It is an hour of the day. She'll be asleep.
Yes. It's between the hours of 12am and 12am. So she's likely sleeping. And this one, almost a kind of sad note to this episode. This is the end of van life.
It is.
The end of our trip. Mainly because of COVID.
Yeah.
There were some other things which we'll get into, other considerations for people, which will be important to people planning long-term travel into different countries.
Yep. I imagine more so now.
Yeah, now that Brexit's happened. Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
I mean, there are so many reasons why not to. Like, everything. 2021's not any better than 2020 so far. So as we ended the last episode, we moved into a house in Greece, and we got our residency permits.
Yes.
Which you're required to have if you're in a European country for more than 90 days, officially.
Yes.
So we had those. That was all good. And the plan was to basically hide out in Greece until around early November.
Yep.
And then we'd start driving back to the UK. Mainly because the UK was still... Greece was by and large open in terms of COVID restrictions.
Indeed.
Like, you couldn't sit indoors and you couldn't go to parties or anything. But other than that, it was fine. The UK still had many other restrictions on. So we thought, no, we'll stay in Greece, ride it out, get back in time for Christmas. That then started to go a little bit awry. As a bit of a spoiler, we moved into the house on the 5th of July.
Okay.
I checked.
Sure.
And we left on the 8th of September.
Yeah. We always plan long-term things. Our plans never go to plan.
Yeah, no. Because our plan was to move in, use the house, just be somewhere stationary where we can set up, and maybe try and get some remote work for ourselves.
Yes.
Turns out trying to get remote work for yourself when you have no professional experience in a remote position, or something that can be done remotely.
It's not just that, though, because I do. Most of my work can be done remotely.
Right.
But it's also trying to do that in another country and during COVID.
Yeah, obviously COVID, there were so many, but any remote positions were being taken.
Yeah.
We had hoped that COVID would have maybe created more remote positions, which it did, but there were so many more people looking for that.
Exactly. So many more people were made redundant and lost their jobs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it would have been perfect. I was happy. We would have been happy taking jobs that require you to be at your computer at 6 a.m. because we were 3 hours ahead. So we could get up for 9 a.m. and then,
It's still been good.
and still pretend over the phone calls, oh, yes, very, very sleepy, yes. Or cicadas scream outside your window. There were a few other things. To the reasons we left earlier than we had planned. The big one, the important one, was the van.
Yes.
So the MOT was due to expire at the end of September. For anyone who doesn't know, the MOT is... Not all countries have them, I don't think.
No, but I think all EU countries do.
Oh, okay.
I want to say.
And that's like an annual checkup on your car to ensure that it's still road legal.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that you cannot get that done in another country.
No.
You also, unfortunately, can't get it done too early. Like, you have to have it every 12 months. I think you can get it done a month before it's due to expire.
Yes, if you want to keep that expiry date. Otherwise, it changes it.
Oh, okay. Oh, so we maybe could have got one in... Oh, no, we could... No, sorry, no. We did look. You can't even get it done in Gibraltar.
No, you can't.
No.
It has to be the UK.
We couldn't even get it done in Gibraltar, which was... We considered it at the time, but couldn't even do that.
But before leaving, a couple of days before leaving is when I got the MOT done.
Yes.
So that we had the maximum amount of time possible.
So you either have to go back to the country the vehicle is registered in to get it checked again, to get it MOT'd, or we could import it
to
Greece.
which is also something that you need to do if the vehicle is going to be in Greece for longer than 6 months.
6 months, yeah. Unfortunately, you also need... Oh, no, sorry. It was very expensive... Because the import tax is very expensive.
So the EU doesn't have, inverted commas, import taxes for vehicles within itself. But most nations themselves impose other taxes. They just don't call it the import tax. In Greece's case, those taxes are quite high. I think I looked, and for Moya, it would have been in the region of £4,000.
Yeah.
And that's painful.
Yes.
Considering.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, we read lots of guides online, and people were saying it's probably cheaper just to buy a car in Greece. But there is a way to be exempt of that tax.
Yes, for EU citizens.
Okay.
Right? For EU citizens. So, if before importing your vehicle into Greece or the EU, you go to your embassy in your own country, so at the time for us that would have been the UK, and you get an exemption certificate. Now that certificate needs to prove that you were a tax resident and the vehicle is registered in your name in that country, in the UK for us, for like 6 months before you go to them for this exemption certificate.
Okay.
Right? You then take that certificate to customs in Greece when you go to import your vehicle.
Yeah.
And then you are exempt from that £4,000 figure.
Yeah. There is still a figure to get the registration moved over, isn't there? But it's considerably less.
It's a lot less. It's in the hundreds.
Like you still have to pay to get the vehicle registered.
Yes.
And all that to get the new number plates.
And then they also do the Greek equivalent of an MOT.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yes.
But so we actually got in contact with the embassy in Athens saying, look, can we do this? Because otherwise we'd have to fly back to the UK.
Yeah.
It's too expensive to drive.
I think I was looking at this back in June.
Yeah.
When we were in lockdown, everything, like the UK was in lockdown and Greece was in lockdown.
Yeah.
And I did contact the British embassy in Athens and the Greek embassy in London, asking them both the same question, saying that I can't go.
Yeah, you can't travel.
I can't travel. I can't do this, and I need to import this vehicle, and I have all the documentation, like in the UK, that I need to prove that I am eligible for this exemption.
Yes.
Is there any way that I can do it? And the answer was basically no.
Yeah. Which means if we were in Greece long past our MOT date, it's no longer MOT'd, which means the insurance is invalid, which means it's now illegal to drive.
Yeah.
So there was that. A few other things which we hadn't considered when we made the plan is driving back through Europe. Because the original plan was to drive through the Balkans. Wasn't it? Because there's a myriad of ways you can go.
Yeah.
But that's a lot more countries with winter tyre regulations.
Yes, because they're a lot more mountainous.
Yes. So we would have had to get winter tyres, and we hadn't long got new tyres in Greece, which we wouldn't have been able to brought with us, so that'd have been a waste of tyres. We would have to stash them somewhere, which is more money probably.
Yeah.
Paying for that. And then there was the slightly increasing threat of COVID once again. Greece did start adding slightly more restrictions. I think they stopped people travelling from certain countries again.
They limited the number of people coming in.
Yes.
I think the limit at the time was 750 people a day through land borders.
Oh, okay.
And they hadn't started limiting flights yet. They've limited that even more now. So.
Yeah. But at the time, the UK was also enforcing quarantine periods for people coming into the UK from certain countries. So then we were looking at, well, if we were going to go home, how are we going to
do that?
What countries can we get a ferry from?
Exactly.
Back to the UK. So unfortunately, it all kind of came together to be that we can't stay here any longer. So we had to pick a date.
Yeah.
The original plan was to drive to not Bruges, the Netherlands.
Zeebrugge.
Zeebrugge?
I think it's Zeebrugge.
I think it is Zeebrugge. And get a ferry over there to Hull. and then drove down?
No, that's the Hook of Holland. Is
Oh,
where
okay,
the
the
ferry
Hook of Holland,
goes.
okay.
Yeah. Zeebrugge is the one we were going to get from Belgium because that was one of the other options.
Oh, okay,
Yes.
yeah. But then they got added to the quarantine
list.
So we thought, well, there's no way of getting back to the UK from a country and avoiding 14-day quarantine.
Mm-hmm.
We will just take the quickest and cheapest route back to Italy, up to France on the Eurotunnel, back home. Which I was a little bit happy about because neither of us had done the Eurotunnel.
No, that's true.
I've done the Eurostar before, but I've never done the Eurotunnel. The difference for anyone who doesn't know, the Eurotunnel is for passengers. Eurotunnel is the one you drive onto.
Just said the
I
same
said
thing.
Eurotunnel twice, sorry. Eurostar is the one for passengers. Eurotunnel is the one for vehicles.
Vehicles, yeah.
Because that involved driving through Italy and France and Greece during COVID. Mm-hmm. So I thought, right, because Italy was the hardest hit at the start of the pandemic.
Yeah.
They were doing fairly well by this point. They kind of got it
Under control.
under relative control. So we booked the ferry back from Igoumenitsa over to Brindisi. This is the reverse of what we did on the way.
Yes.
So before we left Portarafti, we had to go and get a lot of stuff printed. Mm-hmm. Had to print out all your travel tickets, things like that.
Yeah.
We also needed to print out a form.
2 forms.
2 forms?
Yes.
Okay. Do you remember what...
Yes, so 2 forms. So the ferry company has their own COVID declaration, which we needed, and then Italy has an incoming form that you've got to fill in and hand that to the ferry company as well.
Yes. Yeah.
Now, looking at the form states, like, if you're going to be in the country for longer than 48 hours, I think, you've got to get a test done. No, you've got to get a test done within 48 hours of being within Italy.
Okay.
We were only passing through Italy and we're not going to spend 48 hours in Italy.
Yeah, there were different rules for what your plans are. Like, if you're staying there for a certain amount of time, you follow these rules. Mm-hmm. If you're transiting, that was different.
Yes. Which is a category we came under.
Yes, because we're just going through.
Exactly.
So we had to fill all that in, and luckily that was as easy as just handing them in at the ticket office.
Yeah.
But I think we're kind of jumping ahead of ourselves.
Sorry.
No, it's my fault. I led you down this hole. The wrong hole. So yeah, it came... We spent the Monday, the 7th of September, I think it was, doing a final shop. Yeah. We spent a couple of weeks beforehand getting the van ready, because there was stuff we needed to do to the van. Mainly just sealing things.
Yeah.
Went to the DIY shop, got some silicone. Just stopped all the rattling in the back. Yeah. Any leaking on the back box, things like that. And then on the Tuesday, we got up, gave the house a final clean, left the keys for the estate agent to come and get. Yeah. And then left Portarafti for the last time. We had planned to go to Delphi on the way back, which we'd stopped to see on the way when we first got to the country. Yeah. But obviously it had just closed because of COVID. But because of the temperatures, again, it was that whole thing, leaving Dargo in the van. I think if we'd have been able to get there at 9 a.m, early enough in the morning, maybe, but we hadn't by this point. So instead we just headed to Kalambaka, which is at the foot of the Meteora Monastery Mountains. Mm-hmm. The same car park we stopped in on the way down. Yep. Got souvlaki from the same place. Yep. So my first and last souvlaki in my life thus far from the same place. Yeah. But it was nice in Kalambaka because when we were there the first time, it was deserted. Yeah, there was no one there.
Because it was right at the beginning of COVID.
Yeah, so everything, like we said, Greece just stopped completely. Yeah. Apart from takeaways, could do delivery, that was it. But now cafes and restaurants were open. No one could sit inside, but you in Greece in September, no one wants to sit inside. Everybody sat outside, and there really was this. I think Kalambaka would be a really good place to spend a weekend. Yeah, there's just a buzz about the place.
There is.
It's quite a lively town. And then the next morning we got to go in the monasteries because they were open. Yeah. So you got your choice. You got your pick. How many are there? Like 6?
I think there's 6. I want to say 6. 5 or 6.
5 or 6. Now I think I'm right in saying we went to the highest and largest.
Oh, okay.
I think it's the highest one in terms of elevation. Mm-hmm. And if it's not the largest, it's one of the largest. Okay. And here's the name. Here we go. It's the Great Meteoran Holy Monastery of the Transfiguration of the Saviour.
That's a name.
That is a name. We got up there, got parked up. It was, you wouldn't know there was a pandemic on, apart from people wearing masks, which they require you to do in the monastery. Before you get to the monastery, there's a lot of stairs to climb. Mm-hmm. And the monastery is, because they are operating, they are active. There are monks bombing around in there. And there are big signs up everywhere. Essentially, you have to dress modestly.
Yeah.
No sleeveless t-shirts, no shorts above the knee. Women have to wear a long skirt. Trousers are not acceptable.
No, it's an orthodox country.
Yeah.
Therefore, orthodox rules apply to religious establishments.
But they do give you skirts when you go in. They give you it in a little brown bag, and then you put it in the bag and put it in a bin when you leave.
Yeah.
They obviously go and clean it. There are little museums in the monastery. One of them was open.
Yes, it was.
The other one was closed, unfortunately. And there was a chapel.
That was fantastic.
Yeah, I think that's where, reading the name of it, the Transfiguration of the Saviour. Because it was an Orthodox church, so it's full of like jewellery and ornaments and things, and all these murals painted all over the walls. And they were all saints being killed in horrible ways, horrific ways. And
it was so detailed as well.
Yeah, it was. Excuse me.
And it's one of those old school churches with teeny little slits for windows.
Yes.
Where natural light comes in. There's no big windows.
Yeah.
So everything inside is quite dark. Yes, it had lights on in there. But all the paintings on the ceilings and the walls, they were also in like deep colours. It was like reds and black and blue.
Yes.
So it was all very dark.
Vivid. Yeah. But no, it was good. Those monasteries, I think we could have, because they were only €3 each to get in. So very cheap, definitely worthwhile. And of course, the views they offer.
Yes.
My word.
Absolutely fantastic.
Just type in Meteora Monasteries on YouTube and just watch the videos.
Or you can see our videos.
Yes, see our videos. That's better, yeah. Well, that's the best one. That's on YouTube.
We have those too.
We have those. They are kind of limited. You are allowed to film and take photos in most of the monastery. But there are some areas where you're not allowed. Like that chapel.
Yes.
No photos in there. Again, because it is an operating holy site.
Yes. Of course.
They're worshipping in there. The only thing that spoiled it, I think, was the merchandise sellers outside.
Yeah.
They had some tat stalls set up because it was busy. It was busier in that monastery than it was in Athens when we were there. Because tourism was pretty much open again.
Yeah.
Well, certainly more so than it had been while we were there. And that was the only time where we had people selling tat. But not aggressively, like shouting at you, but they were calling you over. Like, oh, where you from? Oh, there. And like, I don't like that. It's like, I just want to have a look, see what you've got. I don't want to be lured in. You know.
I know.
But yeah. Then we were off back to Igoumenitsa.
Yeah.
Drove past the lake we spent like 4 days at.
Near Yanina.
Yanina, yeah. And we were about half an hour outside of Igoumenitsa. We pulled up next to a river just to have dinner. Otherwise,
that was nice.
Otherwise, we'd have arrived at the port too early.
Too early, yeah.
And that's where we filled all our forms out, ready for the ferry. And that was nice and easy. We got into the port check-in place, gave them the papers, so it was stated why we're going to Italy.
Yeah.
That we understand, and we're confirming that we don't have COVID. And they didn't ask us anything, no follow-up questions, no nothing, so that was all fine. And then they told us, I can't remember the numbers, but they told us, okay, go through the gate.
16.
Drive through the gate. There you go. Drive through the gate and go to dock 16.
Yeah.
Okay, so we went through the gate with some rather overly enthusiastic, shall we say, people searching the van.
They were just confusing. I didn't quite understand. So they wanted to check everything.
Yeah, guys wanted to check our passports and have a look over the van.
Yeah.
Before we get onto the port itself.
Yeah. But they didn't, like, they made it sound like they wanted to check everything. So that was fine. We're more than willing for them to check everything. But as soon as, I don't think we'd even opened the back doors.
Yeah.
And they were just like, nope, that's fine. Go. And we were just like, is it okay? Like, can we go? Because one guy told us, the other guy was still looking. And we were like, can we go? And then he was trying to rush us on. And I was like, I don't know what's going on.
Well, they seemed very rushed and
Make up
panicked.
your mind.
They seemed very rushed and panicked considering we were the only vehicle there at the time.
Exactly.
But they got us through, and so we were looking for number 16, and down by the water. So it's dark by this point.
Yes.
All down the water, there are illuminated numbers 1, 2, 3, and so on. So we followed them down. We get to 12, I think it was. And there's no lights on the tarmac anymore.
No.
And none of the numbers were illuminated either. So now we're just in the dark on this ferry port. And this other car approaches us.
No, there was also, we had to go through like a gate.
That's right, yeah.
Or a wall. Yeah, there was a wall or a gate. There was a separation of some kind.
So we feel like we're in the complete wrong end of the place. Look at this car comes up to us. It's a member of staff. And he says, "Oh, we're looking for 16. So follow me." He told us exactly where to park. So wait here. And we had to wait there for about an hour.
Yeah, it's just us and a couple of lorries.
Yeah, and then the ferry pulled in, they got everybody out, and that is like watching a clown car.
It really is.
The amount of lorries coming off that thing. And then they had to get all the lorries on then to go back over to Italy, and that's like the reverse clown car. What was interesting is it was the same ferry line, Grimaldi lines we used. They were the same people we got on the way from Italy, and they'd sent us up on the top deck.
Yes.
Which means going up the very steep slope.
Yeah.
And then it's like a hairpin turn at the top and you're on the top deck. That's where you park. This one they put us in with the lorries. Which was fine, except the guys, we were some of the last people on, but they were still quite rushing us on. And I have trouble understanding Greek anyway. Now I don't know whether they're speaking... If I know what language I'm listening for, it helps.
Yeah.
But now I don't know whether they're shouting at me in Greek or shouting at me in Italian. But it was a passionate language, so it was one of the two. And there's a lot of waving, and I didn't understand what they were trying to get me to do. So he's just telling me backwards, but what he actually wanted me to do was backwards while turning.
Yes.
Because he was trying to get me to parallel park, but I thought he wanted me lined up behind the lorry.
Yeah.
So I couldn't tell what was happening. But we got in.
We got there in the end.
We got checked in. We did get a room because this was an overnight ferry.
Yes.
It's like a 7-8 hour crossing.
Yeah, I think so.
We did get a room. The thing with ferry rooms, and there's nothing you can do about it. If you have a pet, you need a pet friendly room, of which I think there's 2, maybe 4. And these pet friendly rooms do cost more than a standard room.
Yeah.
But the only extra bit in there is a sign on the outside of the door saying that it's a pet friendly room. Like there's no like, I don't know, pet corner or there's nothing different in the room.
From what I gather, it's to do with the bedding and the linen. It's supposed to be easier to like clean and stuff, and it's a bit more sanitary. But yeah, no, Darga got in there. She was fine. She sniffed around.
Yeah, she had a good explore.
Had a look.
And it was nice because the ferry on the way from Italy to Greece was
horrible. Our
worst ferry experience. So we weren't expecting much for this crossing, but luckily it was actually quite quiet in there after a while.
Yeah.
Once the engine sort of leveled out, it was quite a nice, relaxing night.
Yeah.
And then we got off and back in Brindisi. We had to sit in a big queue of lorries. We tried to get to our van before the lorries got off.
But we couldn't.
That is like a labyrinth of lorries, and they're not parked perfectly straight, because how could they be? So you'll find you can't get down because you've got all your bags with you.
Yeah. You
can't get between some lorries. And now we can't figure out how to get to our van, so we just had to stand out of the way and wait for all these lorries. There's the 2 of us and the cat.
Yeah.
And all these burly lorry drivers coming down. What are they doing here? They're all driving out. So we drove the van out. We're in a queue. There's 3 queues of lorries trying to merge into one queue, or getting checked on the way out.
Yeah. Eventually
we got sent through to the passengers. Passenger check-in, I suppose, thing. And that's where we had to give our... Oh, that's right. When we checked in on the ferry to get our cabin key, we were given another form, which was a similar sort of thing to the one we'd already filled out. Same information, we're just transiting through the country. You get off the ferry, you then hand that in.
Yeah.
And they literally just took the piece of paper off us and waved us on.
They also took our passports away.
Yeah.
And checked those, but that's it.
So the thing with that is, if you're transiting through Italy, they say you have 36 hours to do so. Which, when you're in Brindisi, for reference, that's kind of like right near the bottom of the heel of the boot that is Italy.
Yeah.
And we're going back to the UK, so that's top left corner.
Yeah.
It's a long old country.
It is.
But so we thought 36 hours, that's going to be a couple of long days. But they gave us nothing to show when or where we entered the country. Mm-hmm. They didn't state, right, okay, you've got to get out by this point or anything. Nothing was reinforced. So we're like, okay, interesting. Well, we'll just go anyway. Mm. Then we got stopped again, and that was all the usual. Have you got anything? You got any weapons? You got any drugs?
Oh yeah, that happy chap.
Yeah, it was because there was a few other foreign. There was another a Dutch car, I think.
Yeah,
because there's Dutch cars everywhere. I think there was a Danish car as well.
I think there was.
And obviously we were in this brightly coloured van.
I don't know why he was just so happy.
So
maybe we just made him laugh. I don't know, but
how much money have you got on you? Like €40. 40 euros. Like, yeah, we're going home. He's like, oh, okay, right. And then he let us go. And then just as we're about to leave the port, as we're driving around a roundabout, another guy sort of like gets in the way and looking at us quite confused.
Yeah.
And I think he just... Did he speak to us?
Yeah, he did. He asked us where we were from.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
And we said the UK, and he's like, okay, cool, bye.
Okay, bye, see ya. Okay.
Thanks.
And then we swung into the car park we'd spent the night in before getting on the ferry in Brindisi. Mm-hmm. Which, again, it's in the middle of Brindisi, and it's set up for camper vans and things. There's water points. We pulled up there to make a flask of coffee.
Have breakfast.
Have a bit of breakfast. And then we had one of the longer days. I don't know, it may not be one of the longer days, one of the harder days of driving.
Yeah.
So our destination for the night was San Marino. Mm-hmm. Which, still to this day, when I look at Italy on a map and I see where Brindisi is and I see where San Marino is, I can't believe we did that in one day. If you take the toll roads, it's a 7-hour drive.
Yeah.
So we thought, right, we'll get there, we'll spend the night, and then the next night we can get out into France. Mm-hmm. No problem. It's 7 hours on toll roads, which for most of it are dual carriageway. And they're quite compact.
Yes.
You can't relax on them.
No.
So it becomes a very monotonous, taxing drive. You couldn't drive the whole way. Well, you did drive a bit, but you'd really hurt your shoulder as well.
Yeah.
Which is another thing. The house in Greece, jumping right back now, because the house in Greece was fully furnished.
Yeah.
But it was all wicker furniture.
It was.
Which was not good for posture.
No, wicker chairs do not make good office chairs.
And your shoulder was getting really bad at some points, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, I couldn't move it at one point.
Yeah.
Before we left.
Which doesn't help with the big, old gearbox.
No.
In the van.
No. The plan was that I wouldn't drive at all on the way back. Mm. I'd do it if we needed to, like as backup, but
which you did.
Which I had to, yeah. And you'd be the main driver, basically.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That was a hard day. It was very boring. There was still some nice scenery. Mm. But for the most part, motorways don't go through the most scenic parts.
No.
Unfortunately, that bit of Italy, most of it is just flat.
Yeah. On
that end of it. And what should have been a 7-hour drive with stops and breaks ended up, according to Google Maps, it's closer to 12.5 hours.
Yeah, I think it was.
That was a long, long day. I remember specifically there was an hour, which I couldn't believe it had only been an hour. It felt so much longer than an hour.
Yeah.
But we got into San Marino.
We did.
Up to the almost the exact same spot we were at before when we were there in March.
Yeah, there were a lot more people there.
There were, because COVID was less of a thing now. There's a whole row of camper vans.
Yeah.
A little tip. It does say on the park for night thing. If you do go in a camper van to San Marino, to the area that's on park for night, before you're not in the city of San Marino. You're on the hill on the way up to it. Because they'd all parked up in a row. Mm-hmm. There was about maybe 20 vans.
I think so, yeah.
If you just go past them and down a little bit, there are several sort of shelves, like rows of cascading parking spots. Yeah. And you get excellent views of the Alpines.
I don't know.
They are. Yeah. So you pull up and you see all the camper vans. You think, oh, this is it. And go past them. You get a quieter spot. I mean, you may want to be social with people, that's fair enough, but that's not the only place to park.
There are other spots,
plenty of places to park there. And we managed to get up to the top of San Marino.
We did. We used the cable car this time. It was open.
The cable car was open this time?
Yeah.
By this point, we'd realised the reason San Marino was all shut when we were last there was because of COVID. But now everything was open again. We managed to get up to the top and just managed to catch the sunset. Because it had been a cloudy afternoon.
Yeah.
But the clouds didn't go all the way out. So just as the sun went behind the mountains, it peeked out behind the clouds.
Just a little bit.
And then disappeared. We just went ambling about trying to find a restaurant to eat in, didn't we? Because the idea with this is it would be our last meal out of the trip.
Yes.
I can't remember the name of the place. Did we not write it down?
Is it not Antica Trattoria something?
I can't remember the name of the place, but I'll put it in the description.
Okay.
Or something. Yeah, if you're on YouTube, well, no, in the show notes. That's what they call it in podcasts, in the show notes.
In the show notes.
The show notes.
Yes.
We're
learning.
The restaurant will be there. Because it was a nice... San Marino's got lots of tiny little streets.
Yes.
And there's restaurants on them, and you sit outside in them. And they had all the lights out, like fairy lights, string lights, and that. Yeah. We sat, and all the music. And it was like the perfect atmosphere to sit and reflect.
I think we were both getting a little bit emotional.
We were, because we were going home, and that's one of the hardest... I always knew the decision to go home would be the hardest one of the trip.
Yeah.
And then you had a little surprise in mind for me, didn't you?
So I'd been planning this, like, a week or so beforehand, or a couple of weeks beforehand, I think. I'd even spoken to my mom and my sister about it, and made sure that, they were on board and everything. But the plan was to arrive in San Marino about 6 p.m, which we didn't, because it took longer. And I was going to book us a table at a nice restaurant, which I tried to do, and they never got back to me. So we ended up walking along. We did manage to see the sunset, which was part of the plan. Just found a restaurant that looked like it had nice reviews and nice food from the pictures. Sat down, got a little bit soppy from the music and the atmosphere. And then I pretended that I needed the loo, despite never ever going to a public loo, and excused myself with carrying a handbag that I never ever carry.
It had been a long day driving. I didn't notice little things.
And went and asked the restaurant owner if she would write a little note and bring it out with dessert.
Yes.
And from the moment I saw on the menu before we ordered, as we sat down, that there was 3 cheesecake.
Yes.
A trio of cheesecake on the menu. I was like, right, this is it. Things are slotting into place now. It's happening. So yes, I asked her to write on a note, will you marry me? And she got so excited, and so did her husband, and her son was there, and they're all like, right, this is it. We've got this. This is perfect. Don't worry. Just go sit back down, and I'll sort it out. And then she was like serving other people and then winking at me, being like, are you ready? She'll like, do it now. I was like, yeah, okay, you can do it now. So yeah, she brought it out. You had no idea. You just thought it was a rolled up piece of paper next to your dessert.
Yeah, I mean, she'd been friendly with us while serving.
Yeah.
And the dessert came out, and there was, I think, a flower on the plate.
Yes.
And like a piece of paper rolled up with a nice bow on it. And me being, not expecting anything, I thought, oh, this is some weird decoration. And you're filming me, and again, I think nothing of it. We've been filming everything anyway.
Yeah.
And it's our last meal out. I thought, okay. And you said to me, oh, do you want to see what your surprise is or something?
Yeah.
Which I thought you just meant the cheesecake. So I was like, all right, so I wanted to eat the cheesecake.
And I was like, no, the note.
So I opened the note and it says, will you marry me on it? And it took me a second to process. Like, you sort of read it, so you read the actual words, and then I read it again, the actual meaning. And I was like, what?
Wait, what?
Very much not expecting that.
I think you asked me if I was joking.
Maybe. I didn't know what to think in that
I'm pretty
in that
sure
moment.
you asked me if I was joking, and I was like, no, not joking. And then that's when I got the rings out.
Yes.
So before we went on the trip, we bought some pretend wedding rings.
Yes.
For the more conservative countries.
Yes.
And before going up for this final meal to San Marino, I specifically made sure to ask you to leave your ring behind. And you just never questioned anything.
I don't think that. I think I just wasn't wearing it.
No, because I got you to put it behind. I took mine off and I put them both in the ring box.
Oh, okay.
See, that was all part of the illusion.
Must have given it you to look after or something.
Yes.
Yeah.
The illusion. So yeah.
Yeah, we got engaged in San Marino.
Yeah, he said yes.
Oh yes, I said yes. We left that detail out. Yeah.
So yeah,
that was very nice. Although it was such a weird day because of that. It was such a happy ending to such a long,
terrible day,
horrible day. So we just went home and went to bed.
Yeah.
Because I just couldn't stay awake anymore.
We were so tired. We left there quite late. We walked down, didn't we?
Yeah, because the cable car
had closed.
So we had to walk down the mountain with the leftover pizza we had from the restaurant. But then we went back up the next day. It was bright sunshine.
It was.
San Marino was open. All the shops were open. You could go in. So again, wear masks when you go indoors.
Yes.
Limited numbers of people in shops, but all the shops were open. They were setting up. I think that weekend was going to be like a food festival there or something.
Yeah.
So we spent the morning, got plenty of souvenirs for people.
We did.
Really. San Marino is an excellent place to go.
It's a fantastic place.
And everything's a little bit cheaper than in Italy.
Yes.
Because it's technically a different country. Everything's a little bit cheaper.
And they have like no taxation.
Yeah. Well, we will. Did we talk about San Marino? Yeah, we already did San Marino. There's a San Marino episode.
I thought we were doing that as microstates.
Yeah, we did San Marino anyway.
Oh, okay.
A while ago. Yeah, we are going to do microstate specials because we've done some microstates we haven't covered in the trip.
Yes.
San Marino we did cover in the video. So go check out that video. We go into all the wonders of San Marino, and this is much the same, but sunny. And things were open. So the next morning, we did shopping, all the rest of it. The other thing with going to San Marino is it says, obviously when we got into Italy, it says you have 36 hours to transit through the country into whatever country we're going into. So we weren't sure, but we thought maybe that counts in San Marino. So maybe that resets the 36 hours.
Well, we weren't checked at all going into San Marino, were we? I was expecting there to be something.
There were no checks on the border, and there is no border really going into San Marino. But we didn't feel safe doing the amount of driving we would have needed to get out of Italy in 36 hours of arriving. So we went from San Marino and we took the toll roads again. No, we didn't. We took smaller roads, sorry. We didn't take the toll roads. To Alessandria.
Yes.
In the north of the country.
Yeah.
And, they weren't toll roads, but they weren't especially scenic roads.
No.
Again, you're in the flat part of the country. There's not a lot there scenically. Saw the outskirts of several cities. Like Bologna, I think we went all the way.
Yes, I think we did, yeah.
Stopped in Alessandria in just a nondescript car park. Again, set up for the space allocated for camper vans and things. And then the next day we were heading into France.
Yes.
The big question there is which way to go in. I wanted to go through the Mont Blanc tunnel.
Yeah.
Just to go through the Mont Blanc tunnel. But it's about 40 or 50 euros.
Yeah,
I think
so.
I thought, right, that's very expensive and doesn't actually save that much. I think it does save time because it's flatter.
Yeah.
But no, okay, we'll go a different way. So we went round the outskirts of Turin and over to Briançon.
Yes.
Which is the big ski resort place on the French side of the border.
Yeah.
Which did mean going up and through the Alps.
The Grand Alps.
With the Grand Alps, which was painful for the van.
Yeah.
We had to pull over in a tunnel at one point because the engine was running too hot. And it just couldn't cool in there because it's now indoors.
Yeah.
It took ages to cool down. Coming down the hills is a lot easier. Just using the gears instead of the brakes.
Yeah.
And holding up all the traffic behind you.
But I would say, sorry, I believe it was on the French side. Yeah. Sorry, I may have completely messed this up. Okay. But where we stopped for lunch, was that after Briançon?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Carry on.
Yeah, okay. We got... So, yeah, you sort of come in the mountain into the Alps. That was on toll roads.
Yeah.
But they weren't toll roads in the way that you you pay for the distance you go, but you pay at each gate, each checkpoint sort of thing. And then we came off the toll roads to go up into the Alps towards Briançon, just over the border in France. Because that was our big thing then. We were like, right, are we going to get asked when we came into Italy? There were no checks on the border. Shortly after the border, just outside Briançon, I think, there were police and they stopped us.
Yes.
All they wanted to check was our passports.
Yep.
No other questions were asked. Off we went. And that was one of the most scenic drives we did.
Yes, definitely.
Very hard on the van. I do have some details as to where we went, if I can just get this up. So we drove through Le Montier-les-Bains.
Okay.
Over parts of Mont Thabor.
Okay.
Thabor, that's the mountain we went up, which we realised was part of the Tour de France route.
Yes.
Which we also learned was happening. Luckily not there.
No, I think they were due where we were the next day.
Yeah, within a couple of days they were going to be there, and I'm so glad because we were going up these quite sketchy, narrow mountain roads. So the roads themselves are in good condition, all the rest of it. They're just
I presume they'd closed them.
Well, it wasn't on that day, was it?
No, but that's what I mean, like on the day. I
on
God
the day. Yeah, obviously on the day. Yeah,
not
but,
just have multicoloured old vans.
But there were a lot of cyclists out.
Yes.
Which we were struggling to pass. It was a big, loud, wide, slow van, and we'd overtake cyclists, and then the energy it took to overtake the cyclists would heat the van up too much. We'd have to pull over, let it cool down, by which point they'd overtake us.
I'm still convinced that they could hear Moya's engine back in Italy.
I think they could. And that echoed through the French valleys. Yeah, we did pull over for a bit of lunch just on the side of the road, and it's one of those areas of the world like you just stop anywhere.
Yeah.
I think you just spend hours just looking at it.
I think that where we stopped for lunch, that's got to be one of my favourite stops.
Yeah.
On the trip, because it was just so scenic.
It was.
It was just so beautiful. It's mad.
The other thing I should say actually about going through France. So according to UK government rules at the time, obviously they put a lot of travel bans on, quarantine rules on people coming back to the UK from certain countries.
Yes.
There was an exemption. If you were just transiting through France and you didn't socialise or mingle with anybody from outside of your vehicle, you wouldn't have to quarantine on your way home when you got back. So that means you have to drive through little French villages, French towns, smelling all that fresh bread. This may sound like a stereotype, but it's true.
It is true.
All the food there's so nice, and you can smell it from miles away, and you're not allowed it.
Nope.
It's horrible. But we're following the rules. We won't go outside, anything else.
We even only stopped at pay at pump fuel stations, didn't we?
Yeah, so we didn't have to go in the kiosk to pay. Wearing gloves whenever we handled anything outside the van. Just really trying to be careful. So going through the Alps is better because there's less people about.
Yes.
You're more in the wilderness. So we ended up on the Tour de France route. We got to the top of the mountain and there's the huge stone plinth thing, like monument to Tour de France. And then we went through a tiny little tunnel. So this is all on Mon, whatever it was, I've just said it. I can't find it in my notes. Over that mountain. You go through that really narrow little tunnel.
Yes.
And then the other end of it, you're coming downhill. A lot easier on the van. I've never wanted to be on a motorbike so much in my life. Those roads. And there's even guys on the hairpin corners who will take
photos of you.
Photos of bikers and then sell them to you. They'll take your photo either way. You pull over, they'll sell it to you.
Yeah. That'd be so cool to do.
Yeah,
we should have so done it, and then bought pictures of Moya.
Yeah, we'll come back up to take a photo of us. So we dropped down the other side, and then we went through Aix-les-Bains, along Lake Bourget.
Okay.
Bourget, which was further north of where we were. That was the really busy, really big lake with lots of people out on there.
Yeah.
It seems like a bit of a holiday town.
I think so.
And a little village not far north of the lake on the edge of the field where we pulled up to spend the night.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
And that was while we were having dinner. A guy just pulled up in his car next to us. I was like, okay, go out for a very distant chat. And he was just so he had a camper van.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh yeah, I've stopped here before. This is a really good place to stop.
Yeah.
Are you here for the Tour de France? Where have you been? Where are you going? Things like that. So that was nice.
That was nice.
Yeah. And that was the night we filled out our PLF forms.
Yes.
Which are the passenger locator forms.
For the UK.
Which have to be filled out no more than 48 hours before your arrival in the UK. So that's how close to home we were. Next day was the first full day in Europe.
Yeah.
No mountains anymore.
No.
So this is now rural France.
Wine country.
Wine country. So lots of, well, I mean, there weren't any vineyards we went through. Oh, there was some routes.
It was all champagne country.
Was it? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. But no more mountains. It's a lot of little towns and fields. Roads between fields and then towns at the end of the fields.
Yes.
And then through more.
Some quite pretty
fields.
towns, though.
Yeah, it was, to be fair. But again, we couldn't stop to get out and have a look.
Nope. No croissants.
No croissants, no baguettes. And we spent that night near a military base in a small town called Malay-le-Camp. Which is about an hour's drive south of Reims.
Oh, yes.
Where we'd been to before. It's about 2.5 hour drive from Paris. Just for some sort of reference. And another one of these towns, they have a camper van parking area just out of the town centre. And there were electric points and things.
Yes.
And I think water points as well. But you had to buy them from a local shop.
Yes.
So the idea being they're bringing camper vans in and they're encouraging you to go to the shop.
Yeah.
Spend some money. You could use the water dumping was free. But filling up on water or using the electric did cost you, unfortunately. Next day was more of the same, just through fields and small towns. Did get stopped by an unmarked police car for failing to stop at a stop sign. I still contend.
I was not driving.
No, I still contend. I was about half a mile an hour off a complete stop. Because I was higher up, I could see over the wall.
Yeah, but it's a stop sign.
And there was nothing coming. So I rolled out, and as soon as I roll around this corner, this guy leaps out of his car, points at me, points to the curb. You looked it up to make sure we weren't being swindled.
Yeah, because it was an unmarked car. You can't.
It was a €90 fine, which we didn't have. I was like, we're going home. We have no money on us.
No money.
And so he said, there's a cash point up the road. You'll have to go up there. So I walked up to the cash point. The cash point wasn't working. I asked another woman was waiting behind me. So I asked her, like, am I doing something wrong? And she's like, oh no, it doesn't work. But there's one inside. Only one person allowed inside at a time. I just had to wait. That worked. And then I come back to the road and the police are out looking for me. I think they must have driven up to look at the cash point and I'm not there. So now they're like, right, where's he gone? Because I've gone to the one inside.
Yeah.
So I come back, I start walking towards the van, he's called me. And I give him the money and they filled out the form, which I think you have to keep for a year.
Yeah.
Or something. And then their car pulls up. And they're like, oh, jump in, we'll take you back to your van. And in my head, I'm like, no, because then I have to quarantine when I get home. But then on the other hand, do I want to start disagreeing with the police? That might look sketchy. Like, why do you want to get in the car? What's wrong? What are you hiding?
Yeah.
So I just accepted. I think we were going to quarantine anyway. I think
that was the plan. We were playing it on the safe.
We were going to quarantine anyway, but we thought we'll wait to see what they say at the English border. See what they say. So then we carried on just on the main roads. Again, staying off the toll roads because we'd spent all our toll road allowance in Italy. And they are more expensive in France.
Yes.
So we went up past Reims, past Dunkirk. And we did stop at a commercial estate just outside of Calais.
Because we were early.
Yes. The thing with Eurostar, Eurotunnel, sorry. If you arrive too early, I think it's over an hour before your train, they will fine you.
Yes.
Well, they may send you away or they may fine you.
Especially at the moment.
Yes.
When they're trying to limit the number of people.
So we just pulled up in a big car park and killed an hour or two there.
Yeah.
Eurotunnel is very well signposted.
Yes.
The only thing I wasn't sure of is I can't remember what the symbols were because we already had our tickets printed out, and there were
2 symbols. One was a dude in a booth. The other was an automated.
Yeah. So we had our
ticket
tickets.
machine.
So we had our tickets, but there was no barcode on them.
No.
Nothing that would suggest you can use it at an automated machine.
Yeah.
I thought, right, but that didn't matter first because first thing you had to do is go to pet check-in.
Yes.
I still stand, although I can understand why because there's separate building with staff in it. But if you take your car, there's no difference in cost whether it's just you by yourself or you with your family and your kids.
Yes.
You put a dog in the car, £25 extra. 3 kids, fine.
Yes.
1 dog, £25. Or 1 cat, £25. That's because you have to go to pet check.
Yeah, there's separate people to check everything, yeah.
So you drive around there. I managed to run over some guy's dog bowl.
He left it too far out. It was in the next
He had left it in the middle of the
space.
road, yeah. I got out to apologise and he apologised. Very British.
So British.
Yeah. You go in, you can't travel on Eurostar without your pet. You need a pet passport.
Yes.
And they have to be chipped.
Yes, microchipped. Yes.
Also, I think dogs need some other sort of
They
thing.
need to be wormed
Within a
like
couple of
up to
months.
5 days beforehand.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But with Dargo, nice and easy.
Cats are fine.
They give you the scanner.
Yeah.
So can you scan a chip, please? Scan it. Yep, in you go.
Yeah.
No problem. So we went to one of the man's ticket booths. We already had our tickets. Let us through. Then we had, I think it was French passport check.
Yes.
And then you get searched by the military.
Yep. Army dudes. They were nice.
They were nice. Very polite. Let us through. Then we're on the British bit. Okay. Check passports. We've got our PLF forms. We fill them out online and we've saved them to our phones.
Yeah.
He says, have you filled out your PLF? So we said, yes. So I reach over to grab my phone. He says, no, I don't need to see it. The way you said yes, I know you've done them. I was like, okay.
You are.
Right. You know, because at this point, Britain had been, I don't know if it still was, but it had been the worst, certainly in Europe. I think for a time it was in the world, wasn't it?
No.
Britain was doing really badly with COVID anyway.
Yeah.
And this guy had asked if we have to fill these forms in so they know who's coming in.
Yeah, where
So
they've been.
If someone else on the train had it, then we need to be notified in case we've caught it,
Yes.
things like that. He didn't want to see it, so I thought, so I said to him, will they check that on the other
on
side?
the other
then?
side.
He said, no, this is it. So we thought he might have said, so where have you been? Oh, UK, you've been through France. Did you speak to anybody? Did you go into any shops, anything like that, and then tell us whether we need to quarantine? The spoke just didn't want to know. He wasn't in a mood or anything. He was very happy chappy.
No, he asked where we were coming from, and we said from Greece.
We said from Greece.
And he said not from any of the naughty islands.
Yes, because some islands were on the quarantine list for the UK, but Greece itself, the mainland, isn't.
Yeah.
So yeah, he just didn't care.
He was very nonchalant about it, which is worrying.
Yeah.
But yes.
But we got in. They do then. I thought they were wiping down or taking people's temperature, which they did on the ferry, which we didn't mention. They came and checked everyone's temperature
several times
with a laser thing on the ferry, which didn't help when you just carried all your your cat and all her stuff up a load of stairs through the boiler room of a ship. But no, he had a scanner, a hand scanner thing with a stick with a sponge on the end, and he was not wiping over, but sweeping it over your steering wheel and then around parts of the vehicle. He said they were checking for explosives.
Yes.
So, okay, fine. Wasn't expecting that. I was expecting more COVID things, but there you go. And then you drive round. There are signs up all over the place saying that the toilets on the trains will be closed because of COVID. But once you're on the trains, you stay in your vehicle. That's it. The waiting area, what do you call it? The terminal, I suppose?
Yeah.
Was open.
Yeah.
I think you could go in there and get food, and they said go to the toilet in there.
Yeah.
You'll be good. There was a party there. So this is like 1 o'clock no, maybe a bit later than that. Maybe like 4 o'clock. Something like that.
Yeah.
Like afternoon sort of time. And there was it like 3 girls and 3 lads? Mm-hmm. And the lads went over in full view of a lot of camper vans and workmen and things like that behind these hedges, which are not, they're see-through hedges.
Yeah, they're not very foliated.
There's like a row of hedges.
Foliage.
There's like a row of hedges and just a big wall. And they went and one by one urinated as a group, and then one by one urinated around that. And then the girls went and did the same. And the British public.
Yeah,
we're nearly
going
home.
Back to the UK. Lovely.
But then our train was called, so we drove round. There's another woman there who she asks whether you've got an LPG system and that it's turned off, and she then has to see that it's turned off.
Yeah.
So we had to open the back up. She came round, had a look at it. She also caught a glimpse of Dargo.
Fell in love.
Fell in love. Of course she did.
As is the norm.
Got on the train, like an hour later.
Yeah.
You get off and you're driving on the other side of the road, which was weird.
You had to keep reminding yourself, didn't you? Because in your head you were in the slow lane.
Yeah, it's because it's easy, because you come off, anyone who's done it will know, you come off the Eurotunnel and you're on the motorway.
Yeah.
So you can't get on the wrong side of the road.
Yeah.
But you can forget which lane is the slow lane. Mm-hmm. So I kept trying to get over to the right, but I'm supposed to be sat over in the left. And even, so this was what, September? It's late January as we record this.
Yeah.
If I come onto a road now and there's no traffic on it,
oh yeah,
I do occasionally think, am I supposed to be on the left?
Well, I've asked you several times when I've been driving, like, which side of the road am I supposed to be on? Well, more of my driving experience has been on the other side of the road.
That's very true. So you passed your driving test in, what, it was January 2019?
Yes.
Oh, it's in September 2019. September 2019 we left for this trip. Mm-hmm. And now it's September 2020. And now we're going on the other side of the road. So yeah, we got off the train, sort of got used to where we're stopping, and we spent the night, because we were going back to the Birmingham area, Worcestershire, the following day. So we thought we'll spend the night here. So we parked up at the Farthing Common Viewpoint and Car Park. Yes. Which is a really nice view, actually.
It's a very nice view.
And a lot of people turn up there to go see the sunset.
Yeah.
Fully understand why. One guy tried to park up there for the night. He obviously uses Park for Night. He's a Hungarian lorry driver. And some people listening may have been to this car park. The car park looks bigger on the photos than it really is. It's essentially just a bit of dirt between some trees and a fairly busy road.
Yeah.
And this guy pulled in his lorry and he did not have room to turn around.
No.
He ended up dragging his lorry around a tree, because it's kind of a turning circle, but with a tree in the middle, and he was just, he ended up scratching the side of his thing out.
Yeah.
He bumped into our van.
Yeah.
We'd gone on the whole trip. We'd never had other than the Corsa that had impacted the front of the van in Valencia. Nothing else had ever hit the van.
No.
He hit the back, but very low speed, and he was, really
apologetic about it.
Yeah, we really felt bad for the guy. There was some old bloke there trying to have a picnic, and he got very irate with him.
Yeah, which was not necessary. It was not needed.
Yeah, the guy obviously didn't deliberately come into the little space to turn around and ruin it. Yeah. And that was it. We spent the night, and then we did go and have a distanced breakfast in your parents' garden in Crawley.
Yes.
Which is very weird, because you haven't seen these people in over a year.
Yeah.
Almost a year, and everything that's happened. We had the robbery, we had the crash.
Yeah.
We nearly had to cut short due to repairs, and then there was the whole pandemic thing. And you can't hug your parents.
Yeah. I know my mum found that difficult.
Yeah. But then we went up to my parents in Worcestershire, because we were going to quarantine in their garden.
Yes.
Luckily, they're able to get a van in the back garden. Mm-hmm. So we drove around there, parked up, and connected up to the electric.
Yeah.
And that's where we spent the next 2 weeks. Yay. That was the end of our van.
We went from very sunny, warm Greece to cold, wet, miserable
UK.
England.
Yeah. So that was the official end of it, and then it's trying to find a house
and get
work.
Yeah, get back into
something we're still working on.
Thing.
Because work is really hard to find at the moment.
Yes, Yeah.
But that's a whole.
But I don't think we've given up on van life for anybody who's worried about that.
No.
I think, as we've said a few times, we were doing this. It was originally supposed to be about 6 months to test and see whether or not van life was for us. Mm-hmm. And then we were going to come back or find a way of supporting ourselves out on the road.
Yeah. Well, I think the plan now is to getting ourselves in a situation where we can just save a load of money and hopefully find some way of earning money remotely.
Yes.
So that we can do jobs as long as we have an internet connection.
Yeah.
And then we can go out and do it again.
Exactly.
I mean, we're already making plans to get to. We want to go to obviously we want to go through Turkey. How close, and we've got all the Balkans to do.
Yeah.
The more I'm seeing of Iran, the more I want to go to Iran.
I'm winning you over.
Yeah, it's because you say that initially, and I was like, Iran, but they hate us. And everybody who travelled, like, it's one of the friendliest countries to go to.
It really is.
And then obviously through there onto Pakistan.
Yeah.
My
hometown.
Your hometown.
Homeland. Can't wait.
It's just a matter of time, unfortunately.
It is. And I think we are lucky, and I'm so happy that we did the trip when we did it.
Yep.
Because, well, at least this year, I don't think people will be able to do the same thing the same way that we did it. No. The world is a very different place.
Yeah, it's all still uncertain at the moment.
Yeah. So, yeah, no. It was fantastic.
So, that's the end of chronologically, that's the end of the story. Mm-hmm. This isn't the last episode just yet. I think we've got at least 2 more. We're going to go back and do the microstates. Mm-hmm. So that's Gibraltar, that's Monaco, and we've already done San Marino, so I think that's it.
Are you sure we've done San Marino?
Oh, no, we didn't do a San Marino podcast. Sorry, we did the San Marino video. We didn't do a San Marino podcast.
There you go. I was like, I don't think we have.
No, we haven't. Okay. So yeah, we've got 3 more. I don't think we're not going to get all them in one episode.
No.
Because we covered Vatican City in the Rome one.
In the Rome one.
Yeah. So still a little bit more content coming from us on some of the deediest countries in the world. Yeah. And one of them is the oldest republic in the world.
It is.
So there you go.
It is. So yeah, if you've got any questions or if you want to know anything, now's your chance.
Get in touch. Please do leave a review or likes on whatever you're listening to. If you're listening on a podcast service, this is also available on YouTube, where it's easier to leave comments and have a go at us and criticise and all the rest of it. If you are listening on YouTube, chances are your podcast service of choice will have us. We're on most of them.
Yes.
Or you can email us at catavanuk@gmail.com.
Yes.
We are on Facebook and Instagram at catavanuk.
Yes.
I've been Ben.
I've been Frey. Darga's still nowhere to be seen.
And thank you very much for listening.
Yeah.
Throughout this entire thing of ours. We started this because we were bored in lockdown.
We thought it might have been a good idea.
Yeah. Hopefully you have too.
Yeah.
And we'll see you next time.
We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.